Henry Ford, the Wright brothers, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., Harriet Tubman, Amelia Earhart, Lena Horne, Billy Graham, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Michael Jordan, James Brown, Kobe Bryant, Pastor Freddie Fillmore Sr. Now, I just called, I don't even know how many names I just called, but they're all different and unique people with different purposes, but they all have one thing in common. And that is that they are the face of a generation, the face of a movement.
All right.
And to do that, it's going to take some excelling in excellence. You're going to have to be committed.
Amen.
So then, the title of my sermon is The Face of a Generation. The face of a generation. This is going to be beautiful. If y'all would please turn with me to Exodus chapter 1, verse 6. We're going to read from 6 through 8. Now I'm going to jump around a little bit. I ain't going to be before y'all too long. I know y'all hear that often, but I ain't going to be before y'all too long. Exodus chapter 1, verses 6 through 8. Let's talk about the face of a generation. When you have it, you can say amen. Amen. Ooh, okay. And Joseph died, that's the King James Version, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, and multiplied and waxed exceeding mightily in the land, and the land was filled with them. And there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. This king did not know the face of the previous generation. His people didn't pass it down to him. He wasn't aware of what God did for the generation before he got there. So what does that face look like? Here we go. Generation is what I want to talk about. Now I'm a little bit like my granddad. I like to look up words, so I got y'all 3 definitions for the word generation. It's a noun, and the first one is the entire body of individuals born and living at about the same time. The second one is the term of years regularly, roughly 30 among human beings, accepted as the average period between the birth of parents and the birth of their offspring. And the third one is a group of individuals, not of whom in the same approximate age, having similar ideas, attitudes, and I had switched these two because attitudes was the last one, but problems. I like that, problems. Now, most times when you are, chosen to be the face of a movement or somebody that's going to lead a generation, oftentimes you're not going to share the same ideas and the same attitude as your peers. Mm-hmm. I mean, our shepherd, when he was building his church, I'm pretty sure his idea was different than the people around him. And I know y'all love basketball, so you knew Kobe. Kobe didn't like that he was going to be second to Michael Jordan. In fact, I was watching an interview and John Sally was talking about how they went to play the Washington Wizards and Mike had slapped Kobe on the butt and said, hey man, you can wear the shoes, but you ain't going to be able to feel them. And that angered that man. That man didn't speak to his teammates for weeks. Until the next time he met Michael Jordan, and by the end of the first half, he had 42 points. Wow. So he was serious. He didn't want to be the second best. He wanted to be the best. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a vision for yourself. But, his vision ended up including others. But our shepherd, I like how God do stuff. Because this came to me before I even knew he was honoring him. But he had a vision for the entire flock that they would continue to chase and hunger and thirst after the word of God. I like that. All right. Now let's look at what the face looked like. Genesis chapter 37, verses 4 through 10. Chapter 37, verses 4 through 10. Genesis chapter 37, verses 4 through 10. All right. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more. Now, just real quick. When you've chosen, and I'm going to get here, this is going to be inclusive to all y'all. Y'all put it on. If y'all put it on, y'all going to get it. When you're chosen, you're going to be met with unmerited favor.
Right.
You don't ask for it.
Yes.
It's given to you.
Yes.
And with that favor, sometimes that comes hate. With your gifting, with your anointing, with your calling, you're going to encounter some haters.
Yes.
But that's what it takes to be the face of a generation. Mm-hmm. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him. Wow. And could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream and told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. Wow. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaf stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf. Oh, I hate you, Joseph. What? You finna what? And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Right. Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it to his brethren and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow ourselves to thee on the earth? Well, Lord. Joseph had a vision for himself, yet it was going to benefit his entire generation. Yeah. Joseph's first encounter with favor was from his father, and it would continue to Potiphar's house. But his first encounter with hatred would come also from his family. Of course, that preps you for the outside world, right? We joke a lot in the black community. Boy, you ugly? Or you ain't smart. I'm just playing with you. If I don't say it to you, you're gonna hurt when you get outside. They meant that junk. They sold him into slavery. They meant that junk. It's like, I don't know nothing about that, bro. A cult, bro? All right, I got you. Now, of course, they meant that. Some people, they may not mean, what make you so special? What make you so different? It's all good. It's all, just recognize. You cannot compromise your vision because they upset. You cannot compromise. The face does not seek to be the face. We don't choose it. God chose him before. Was it Jeremiah? He said, Before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. I chose you to be a prophet. He can't help that. He was chosen. Now, leaders cannot act out of emotion. And if you want to understand what I'm saying, y'all can flip back with me to Genesis chapter 34, verse 25. And what happened is that they were in a land, their sister Dinah, they were in a land, and the prince of that land, he saw her. He thought she was so fine. And he raped her. And then he fell in love with her. I'm confused about that. Oh, it's yeah. Raped her and then he fell in love with her. So, he came and he had his dad like, let's bargain with him. Let me get this woman. I love her. And, they were like, we can't do that, not unless you become like one of us. Until you become like one of us, until all your men circumcise themselves, then we'll accept you and give you our daughters. Mm-hmm. Now, they can't, leaders in the faces, they can't act off of emotion because they have to think about what it is what the consequences are for the people that are around them, what it's going to affect. Right. Now, Levi and Simeon, they didn't care. You raped my sister. That's a heinous crime. I don't know how I react in that situation either. I'm just saying. Because I love my sister. I love my sister to death. And you're not finna hash that. I'm not saying I'm So they went in there and they slaughtered the whole town. And then they took everything. And then they made it back to their father. And their father was like, what was y'all doing? We is in a land with people that they gonna kill us. There ain't that many of us. There's a lot of them. Y'all ain't thinking. They better be glad God was on their side. Because if it wasn't for the Lord on my side, oh my gosh. Now, Genesis 39. That's why I want to go to about the next thing for those that are the faces of generations, the face of a generation, the leaders.
You say 39 or 30?
Genesis 39, verse 5. When you have it, say amen. I'm gonna wait. I'm getting super excited. This is how you feel? This is how you be feeling? I'm feeling super excited for what's coming next. All right. Genesis 39 and 5 says, and it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer. Joseph is in Potiphar's house right now, and he had made him the overseer. So it came to pass in the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for who?
For Joseph.
For who?
Joseph.
Time out. You a slave. And God blessed the house for who? For Joseph's sake. Y'all gotta understand something. When y'all in situations on y'all job, there's gonna be people y'all don't like. When you at school, it's gonna be people when you anywhere, it's gonna be people you don't like. But God will continue to make it blessed for your sake. That's for you. They're gonna benefit from it, don't get me wrong, they're gonna benefit from it, but it's for you. That's mostly for you. That is why the face leaders are held to a higher standard. Because look what happens next. Potiphar's wife comes and lies on Joseph. And you know, Potiphar, he upset. You're not finna believe Joseph. It's my wife. I don't know Joseph like that. You know my house been blessed. This is my wife. I know her. So he gotta go. And Joseph is put into prison. But Joseph never forgot his vision. Because now we're gonna go back to this thing about vision that we've been talking about. We've been talking about vision. For those of y'all that are coming here for the first time, we've been talking about vision for the last couple of months. Now, what I read to y'all in Genesis 37, Genesis chapter 37, verses 4 through 10, Joseph had a vision. He had two visions, but it's the same vision. He had a vision that his brothers and his dad was going to bow to him. So he's sitting there, he's overseer in Potiphar's house, and it's not probably a very good time, but he's comfortable. But you can't get too comfortable. If you got a vision, you can't get too comfortable. It's gonna push you. I'm not saying that Joseph was comfortable, but all Potiphar's wife was an instrument to get Joseph closer to what he was supposed to be in. Sometimes you're gonna have to get pushed out the door. Somebody might have to lie on you, but hey, look, you're gonna stand your ground for your vision. It's your vision. Let's get that vision. Never forget the vision. In the next chapter 40, verses 14 through 15. Now look, everywhere Joseph go, he becoming overseer. Y'all noticing that? He getting put in charge of stuff. So he get the people that was in the palace put into the prison with him. And he noticed that they sad one day. And then he said, what's wrong? And they both said, we had a dream. And then, the butler tell his dream first, because he like, man, the baker gonna hold out because he's like, nah, I don't know who this dude is. So Joseph said to the butler what his dream meant, and he said this afterward. This is why you can't forget your vision.
Come on now.
This is why you can't forget why you're here. Because if you forget why you're here, you get stuck. You'll get stuck. You ever meet them people that say their job? Oh, I love my job. That job is fire. To this day? To this day! Genesis 40, verse 14. Says, but think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, please, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house, for indeed I was stolen away out of the land of Hebrews, and here also I have done nothing, and I have done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. Oh my goodness. Still remember where you're supposed to be at.
Right.
You might be having overseeing in bondage, but I don't think that's where the dream was at. I think they was in the field, and then he was in the sky, in the universe. He was free. I'm gonna put it like that. Joseph had not forgotten his vision. The butler got out and forgot Joseph, but God did not forget. In dark times, we cannot afford to forget God, the creator, the sustainer, the provider, and the deliverer. Now we're gonna move over again. I'm sorry, I'm jumping. But Genesis chapter 41, verses 1 through 8. And it came to pass that Pharaoh had dreamed a dream. Pharaoh was asleep one night and he had a dream. We'll just summarize it. he has 2 dreams in one night. 7 fat cows come out of the sea, out of the river, and they look good. And then you have 7 ill-favored cows come out of the sea and eat the good cows. Oh my gosh, I gotta wake up. I don't know what that meant. That junk looked nasty. I can't even imagine dreaming a dream like that, to be honest. I can't see no cow, you know, other cow. Or no corn, you know, other corn. Just honest, from my standpoint, I can't see that. And I said, God disrupted the leader. In his dream, God disrupted the leader to get the face. Think about this now. The Pharaoh is the ruler of the land, but he's not the person for the job. He needs the face. And then the butler said, oh my goodness. There was a man in the prison where I was at. The face is not God. The face is simply God working through him, representing God. God needs his people in place. God puts his people in position. Think about this. Joseph was born to Israel and Rachel. Over there, probably a little bit far out from Egypt. He was sold into slavery by his brothers. Lied on by Potiphar's wife and placed in prison. That's divine intervention right there, no matter how you look at it. All of that led to where he was getting closer to his destiny. So, how else was Joseph going to get to the place that God called him to be? How was he going to get to a place where God was going to move mightily in his life? What are you going to do to let God move in your life? That's a good question. He was taken from his house and lied on, and he was taken to a land where they worshiped strange and many different gods, and they wasn't looking for the Lord. In that generation, they faced famine. That generation faced famine. Harriet Tubman generation, they faced slavery. Henry Ford, they faced the dilemma of not getting around fast enough. We just being shoot. Put 4 wheels on the ground. Let's get rolling. I said, thank the Lord for Joseph's focus. Thank the Lord for Joseph not focusing on what he was seeing, because it didn't relate to what he saw. If he was focusing on what he was seeing, he would never get to what he saw. What? I said that to myself. I said, Brother Tony's going to get hyped when I said that. I knew he was going to get up. I got a couple more, and then I'm going to be done before y'all. I appreciate this. Joseph's visions from where he was when he was 17 led to... Hold up, now I can't read my handwriting. Okay, Joseph's visions from where he was when he was 17 stuck in his mind. Moses' generations, they faced the Egyptian army. David faced the lion, then the bear, then Goliath. Jesus Christ, the face of all generations, faced the enemy of all man, sin. And he was victorious and conquered sin and the grave. That is why if you are a born-again believer, when our Father which art in heaven, when he looks at you, he doesn't look at your sin. He looks at Jesus' sacrifice on the cross when he looks at you. That is why we have power and authority. That's why we can heal. That's why we can do a lot of stuff that we wouldn't be able to do before. So right now we are facing this coronavirus, this pandemic. And there's a lot of people scared at that. But they still need the light. They still need the light. No, I felt like God was speaking through the coronavirus pandemic because we had turned away so far away from God. And he was like, you know what? You know y'all singing melodies from heaven rain down on me. You say no coronavirus. Oh, coronavirus. Coronavirus? What? I'm going to close with this scripture right here. Follow me to 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 9 through 10. My granddad says this to me a lot. When I be acting up, he like to say this to me. Well, you have to say it, man. 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 9 through 10. Let's get it. Everybody got it? Okay. My phone. I got distracted. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood,
Yeah.
and holy nation,
Uh-huh.
a peculiar people,
Uh-huh.
that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
Yes.
That's a marvelous. Which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of God, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy.
Yes. Yes.
It's going to take mercy. It's going to take grace.
Yes.
Most of all, it's going to take God.
Yes.
So regardless of what's going on right now outside with this pandemic, with whatever, right now, we need to stand up as the church. The way I see me getting hype, I say, rise, church, and stand up. Stop sitting down. It's time. I'm not looking for nobody like, you know what, I'm the next bishop. I'm the next right reverend, deacon, apostle. No. I'm here to serve the Lord, and I'm going to let my light so shine before men that when they see
Yes.
my good works,
Yes.
they will worship and honor my Father in heaven.
Yes.
Thank you, Pastor Fillmore, for this opportunity. Thank you, Minister Fillmore, for what you did for Pastor. Thank you, Minister Jenkins, for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. I'm done.
Amen.